Hey everybody, I wanted to show you a little project I'm working on. So this is called EdUBudgie Linux, and it's a version of Ubuntu Linux with the Budgie desktop environment on it. And basically, what I've done is I've just pre-installed it with a whole bunch of packages that are made for education. So I'll show you some of those. But this is based on Ubuntu 19.10, so it's not the final version. The final version will be on 20.04, which is going to come out shortly here in 5 days, I think. Once that's come out, I'll put the same packages onto that, and it'll have the 20.04 base instead of 19.10, so it'll be slightly updated. Now this is running on a workstation right now with plenty of power, but I've even got it running on a Chromebook back there, and it runs just as well. Obviously you can't do quite as many things at once, but it still runs really well. In terms of the applications that are pre-installed, so now I have installed some additional applications here, and I'm not going to go through every single application. You can find a list online at, and I'll put the link to this down below. It's a Google site, but this is the site that I use for this. Let's see here, view published site. I'll put this down below, but it's this will give you the complete package list if you want to see everything that's included. But without going through that, I'm going to open up some of the common stuff. So now, this has lots of things in it for computer science. It has things in it for English. It has things for graphical artists. Things like GIMP, for instance, which let's see here, is the GNU image manipulation program. It's kind of like Photoshop, but a little bit easier to use. And most everything on here is completely free and open source. Excuse me, there are some things on here that are not totally free and open source, but when I could, that's what I would get. For instance, like Chrome isn't actually open source, but it's based on Chromium, which is. But as for the software packages, the idea is that an IT group could take this and could install it onto a set of x86 Chromebooks that they already have if they don't want to have to buy new ones, and if those Chrome OS devices are no longer supported by Google. They could try this out, and if it's quick enough and if it seems reliable enough and everything, then they could use this. And without having to do anything after the fact. That's sort of the idea here. So with most Linux installations like Ubuntu or whatever, and even with Windows, after you get it installed, you have to add a bunch of the programs that you want. And the idea here is that hopefully it would have basically all of the programs that you would already want from the start. So I've got a couple of different Office suites on here, like WPS and LibreOffice, and of course it will run the Google Office suite as well. I've got Basic 256 for programming, along with Atom and a couple of other coding type programs. It's got the GIMP program and Krita and a few other of those. And it's made so that with one ISO, basically, if you can put an ISO onto a flash drive, you'll have everything right there. And when your students or teachers get it, all that they have to do is log into the online settings and log into Chrome, and they're ready to go. This has a couple of CAD programs as well. It's got, for English, Focuswriter, for instance, which I love Focuswriter. This is literally all that it is. It's just a place where you can type, and without being distracted by extra stuff. So some of these programs are quite simple. Some of these programs are a little more complex, like Calculate, which has just a ton of functions. I mean, the thing can do differentiation and integration and differential equations and all sorts of stuff. There's another really neat one called Calcium, which this just gives a ton of information about the different elements, and you can click on one of them and have it bring up even more info about it. But then as far as it's not just there for reference, you can also, let's see, perform some calculations in here. So like if you do the equation balancer, I'm not sure how many of you remember this from chemistry, but balancing equations based on the number of moles that each molecule needs, this is something that it will do for you automatically. You've got to sort of figure out the syntax of it a little bit. But then it does a whole bunch of other things as well. And again, all of these are included in the ISO, ready to go. You don't have to go out and find what applications work well for you, because basically everything's included. For that reason, it's kind of a large OS, but it fits onto a 32 gigabyte SSD, which is what I have in my Chromebook, and it will run on Chromebooks fairly well also. Now, some of this stuff is not included, like Genymotion, because I've customized this after the fact, but most of this is included. So let me try and find another interesting one for you. For instance, K-algebra. You can do 2D graphs and 3D graphs and such, which I forget the... I think I have to get rid of that. Let's see. Maybe it wants Y in this one. Oop. Ah, there we are. Yeah, okay. So it's just a simple plotting thing. So and you can plot several different diagrams at once, and I'm sure that there are some other features here that I don't know anything about, not being a math teacher or a science teacher. So this is just ready to go out of the box, and again, it will be based on Ubuntu 20.04. It's basically, it's not even an Ubuntu clone, it's just Ubuntu, but it's been customized so that students and teachers shouldn't need to add anything extra. Once it's installed on their device, they just log into the different things that they need to log into. So one of those things would be logging into the settings, into the online accounts section right here. And then the other thing would be logging into Chrome itself. And that's it. Once they've done those two things, they're ready to go. Now, I've added a couple of things here because we all know how customizable Linux is. So like I've added the little weather widget, if you will. I forget what they call it in Linux speak. And I've added this information from a program called Conky, which I don't think is on the standard installation, but I put it on after the fact. There are also some video editors, things like OpenShot. So again, this is just a standard video editor. You would drag your clip in here, then you can preview it here and edit it and add things down here. A couple of video editors are included. Basically, as many types of programs as I could find that will work well for education, I've included in this. And if you're one of those teachers who just prefers to use everything with web apps, okay, great, there's Chrome on it as well. And you could always put Firefox on there if you prefer to use Firefox. It's got a bunch of these diagram editors and things like this. This is similar to, this is sort of like a simplistic version of Microsoft Visio, if you're familiar with Visio. And it's good for doing like brainstorming and such. There's actually better ones. Let me see here. Mindomo, I think, is one of them. MindMaster and Mindomo, which these are made specifically for brainstorming. So you could do something like this and add subtopics, add a main topic, multiple topics, and then you can brainstorm out from there and have it look really nice. You can add pictures and clip art and things like that. So a lot of these things are included by default. There was one other one that I wanted to show you, and I can't think of what it is. But being Linux should not scare people. As you can see, it's really similar to what Windows or Mac would look like anyways. It's got the Scratch programming sort of interface built right in here as well. But yeah, it's got a regular file explorer, so you can get to all of the different, all of your different files, just like you normally would. It's got a regular, basically a start menu. Now, there's normally some subsections here that say like accessories and education and office and so on. I've removed all of the games that were on here that would normally come with a version of Ubuntu, and of course I've replaced them with educational software. But it's one of those things where you kind of just have to try it out to see if it's something that would work for your school, but it would really be, I think, beneficial for schools that, again, are on x86 Chromebooks already today, like the Acer C720p that I have right over there, who don't want to spend or can't spend the money to buy new Chromebooks. They can take those old Chromebooks and they can install an x86 version of Linux on it. And this one is basically tailor-made for education, or as close as I could get to tailor-made anyways. Oh, now I gotta figure out how to get out of this one and I forget. Let's see. Is it here? Config window. Oh, this is kind of nice. You got different locations that you can use. This is Stellarium, by the way, which Stellarium is basically for, there we are, for learning constellations and things like that, but in a digital environment. And then you can see things like Google Keep, the web app, will work on here as well. It's got feed reader. It's got some simple things like weather and calendar also. So a lot of simple, typical, normal stuff, but also some of the more advanced stuff that you would use in school. And it's got, which one is it? Yeah, TILIP, which is the TI calculator linking program. So that's specifically made so that you can connect a TI calculator to the computer. And then you can send information back and forth, which I don't have a TI any longer. Thank God I'm out of engineering school, but that's what this is for also. And again, it's just built in. So when you install Linux as an operating system, you'll get all of this with it. So yeah, that's about it. When I have a final version, I'll probably post it, but until then, this is sort of the sneak preview that you get. So, all right, see you around.